The battle was almost over. What had started as a desperate fight for survival had turned into a complete victory for the human fleet. Commander Zara watched from her damaged bridge as the last Vorthic ships tried to escape, only to be hunted down by human vessels that moved faster and hit harder than anything she had ever seen. Captain Jennifer Scott piloted her destroyer, the USS Justice, as she chased down Overlord Kreshnar's flagship. The massive bioship was trying to reach hyperspace, its living hull pulsing with emergency power as it attempted to flee. "Not today," Scott said grimly as she locked her weapons onto the enemy ship. "You came here to hurt innocent people. Now, you pay the price." The USS Justice fired everything it had at the Vorthic flagship. Railgun slugs tore through the bio-armor like it was made of paper. Nuclear missiles exploded against the hull, each one creating massive holes that the ship's healing systems couldn't repair fast enough. Kinetic torpedoes punched completely through the vessel from one side to the other. Overlord Kreshnar felt his ship dying around him. The corridors were filling with toxic smoke. The walls had stopped pulsing with life, and emergency alarms were screaming throughout the vessel. His mighty fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being destroyed by humans who still fought with primitive weapons. How can this be happening? He screamed at his remaining crew. They're using weapons that are thousands of years old. They fight like barbarians. His tactical officer, barely alive after a console exploded near him, looked up with fear in his eyes. "Overlord, maybe that's why they're winning. We evolved to fight civilized enemies. These humans evolved to fight everything." Captain Scott's final barrage hit the Vorthic flagship's power core. The massive bioship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up space for millions of kilometers. Overlord Kreshnar and his dreams of conquest died with his ship. Target eliminated. Scott reported to Admiral Morrison. No survivors detected. All across the battlefield, human ships were finishing off the last of the enemy vessels. The Vorthic fleet that had seemed unstoppable just hours before was now nothing but wreckage, floating in space. Not a single enemy ship escaped. Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display as the last red dots disappeared from his screen. The battle was over, and humanity had won completely. Now came the hard part, dealing with the aftermath. "Begin search and rescue operations," Morrison ordered. "I want every coalition survivor found and brought to safety. Medical teams, prepare to receive wounded." The human fleet immediately shifted from combat mode to rescue mode. Ships that had been dealing death just minutes before were now saving lives. Human medical teams, trained to work in the most dangerous conditions imaginable, moved through the wreckage looking for survivors. Commander Zara's ship was one of the first to be helped. Human engineers swarmed over her damaged vessel, fixing critical systems and making sure her crew was safe. She had never seen such efficiency and skill. "Commander Velyan," came Admiral Morrison's voice over the communication system. "This is Admiral Morrison. How are you and your crew doing?" "We're alive, thanks to you," Zara replied, still not quite believing what had happened. "Admiral, I have to ask, how did Earth develop such powerful military forces? Your ships, your weapons, your tactics, they're unlike anything we've ever seen." Morrison's image appeared on her screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "Commander, most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were kind to them. Gentle weather, friendly animals, plants that didn't try to eat them. Earth was different." Colonel Amy Patterson, Morrison's strategic advisor, stepped into view. "Every day on our planet was a fight for survival. The weather could kill us. The animals hunted us. The plants were poisonous, and even the air was dangerous in some places. We learned to be very good at violence because we had to be. But you're part of the coalition now," Zara said. "You're supposed to be civilized. Admiral Morrison smiled, but it wasn't a cruel smile. It was the smile of someone who had seen terrible things, but still chose to protect others. "We are civilized, Commander. That's exactly why we fight so hard to protect innocent people. We know what it's like to be prey, so we don't let anyone else become prey if we can stop it." Lieutenant Commander Brad Collins was reviewing the battle reports from his station. "Admiral, final numbers are coming in. We destroyed 73 enemy vessels and captured their technology for study. Our losses were minimal, 3 ships. Damaged, no ships destroyed, and only 47 crew members injured." Morrison nodded. "What about coalition casualties?" "Commander Velyon's fleet lost 16 ships total, but we were able to rescue most of the survivors. The station they were defending is secure." As the human fleet began to organize for the journey home, they left behind a clear message for anyone else who might think about attacking innocent people. The wreckage of the Vorthic fleet would serve as a warning. Earth was now part of the galactic community, and humans took their responsibilities seriously. Captain Tony Garcia was preparing his ship for the jump back to Earth when his communications officer brought him an interesting message. "Captain, we're getting calls from all over the galaxy. Other species want to know if they can hire human ships for protection." Garcia laughed. "Tell them to talk to Admiral Morrison. Something tells ME Earth is about to become very popular as an ally." Commander Zara watched as the human fleet prepared to leave. In just one day, these humans had completely changed the balance of power in this part of the galaxy. The Vorthic threat was over, and every species now knew that Earth was not to be underestimated. "Admiral Morrison," she transmitted one last time. "Thank you. You saved millions of lives today." Morrison's reply was simple but powerful. "That's what humans do, Commander. We protect those who can't protect themselves. And we're very good at it." The human armada jumped back to hyperspace, leaving behind a galaxy that would never again make the mistake of thinking humans were weak. Earth had answered the call for help, and the universe had learned what happened when you threatened innocent people while humans were around to hear about it. From that day forward, the phrase "Earth is sending reinforcements" would strike fear into the hearts of bullies everywhere and bring hope to those who needed protection. The Deathworlders from Sol 3 had taken their place as the galaxy's guardians, and they were very good at their new job. Overlord Kreshnar could not believe what was happening to his mighty fleet. Half of his bioships were already destroyed or badly damaged, and the humans showed no signs of slowing down. Their weapons were simple and brutal, but they worked too well. "Overlord, our adaptation systems cannot keep up," his tactical coordinator reported with panic in his voice. "These humans use projectile weapons, chemical explosives, and kinetic bombardment. Our bio-armor was designed to counter advanced energy weapons, not these primitive technologies." Kreshnar watched another of his ships explode on the main screen. The humans fought like wild animals, with no regard for the civilized rules of warfare. They used weapons that most advanced species had stopped using thousands of years ago. Captain Mitchell Thompson commanded the assault ship UES Hammer. His job was different from the other captains. While they destroyed enemy ships from the outside, he had to go inside and capture them. He was preparing his boarding parties for an attack on a damaged Vorthic cruiser. "Listen up, people," Thompson told his Marines over the communication system. "We're going inside an alien bioship. The walls might try to eat you. The air might be poison, and the floors might move under your feet. In other words, it's just like training back on Earth." The human Marines laughed at their captain's joke. They had all trained in Earth's most dangerous environments: underwater caves that could flood without warning, jungles where every plant and animal was trying to kill them, and deserts where the sun could cook them alive. An alien ship that was a little bit alive didn't scare them. The UEC Hammer moved close to the damaged Vorthic cruiser and attached itself to the enemy ship's hull. Cutting lasers burned through the biometal, creating an opening for the Marines to enter. Thompson was the first one through the hole. Inside, the alien ship was like nothing most species had ever seen. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat, the floor shifted and moved, and strange lights flickered in patterns that hurt to look at. The air smelled like rotting flowers and tasted like metal. "Wow, this place is nasty," said Sergeant Kate Morgan as she followed her captain into the ship. "It's like that swamp back in Louisiana where I grew up, but worse." The other Marines spread out through the corridors, their weapons ready. The Vorthic had designed their ship interiors to be terrifying and confusing to enemy boarders. Most species would panic and become lost in the maze of living passages. But humans had evolved on Earth, where getting lost in a hostile environment was just Tuesday. They moved through the alien ship like they were taking a walk in the park. When doors sealed themselves shut, the Marines kicked them down. When walls tried to grab them, they cut through with their combat knives. When the floor tried to trip them, they kept walking anyway. "Target secured," Sergeant Morgan reported as her team captured the ship's power core. Moving to the next objective. Meanwhile, Admiral Morrison was coordinating the larger battle from his flagship, the massive carrier UES Liberty. The tactical display showed that the Vorthic fleet was falling apart. Their bioships couldn't adapt to human weapons fast enough, and they were losing vessels faster than they could retreat. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender signals from several enemy ships," reported Communications Officer Dan Phillips, Morrison's. Face stayed cold and hard. "Tell them that surrender is not an option. They attacked innocent civilians. In human culture, that means they don't get to surrender. The other species in the galaxy had rules about warfare, when to fight, when to retreat, when to show mercy. Humans had only one rule. If you threatened innocent people, you got destroyed completely. There was no negotiation, no second chances, and no mercy for bullies." Captain Lisa Bennett commanded the massive dreadnought USS Vengeance, the most powerful ship in the human fleet. Her vessel alone carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet, and she was using all of it against the enemy. "Fire all main batteries," Bennett ordered her weapons officer. "I want every gun on this ship shooting at something." The USS Vengeance unleashed everything it had: railguns that shot metal slugs the size of cars, missile launchers that could fire 100 nuclear warheads at once, and experimental weapons that human scientists had been working on for years. The combined firepower was enough to crack the hull of the largest Vorthic bioship. Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Williams watched from the carrier UES Relentless as her fighter squadrons tore through the enemy formation. Human pilots pulled maneuvers. That should have been impossible, diving and spinning through space in ways that would kill any other species. "Falcon Squadron, you have 3 enemy fighters on your tail," she radioed to one of her pilots. "Copy that, Control," came the reply. "Watch this." The human fighter suddenly flipped backward and fired at the pursuing enemy ships while flying in reverse. The Vorthic pilots, not expecting such a crazy move, flew straight into the humans' weapons fire and were destroyed. Growing up on Earth, where the gravity was stronger than most other worlds, had made humans incredibly tough. They could survive forces that would crush other aliens, and they could think clearly even when their bodies were under extreme stress. Commander Nick Palmer was tracking the overall battle from the Fleet Command Center. "Admiral, the enemy is trying to retreat. Should we let them go?" Admiral Morrison shook his head. "No, they came here to destroy innocent people. We're going to make sure they never threaten anyone again." The human fleet pressed their attack, chasing down every Vorthic ship that tried to escape. Their weapons were simple but deadly. Their tactics were brutal but effective, and their determination was absolute. The galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humans. They were very good at violence, and they took protecting innocent people very seriously. The Vorthik had made the mistake of threatening civilians while humans were listening, and now they were paying the price for that mistake. Overlord Kreshnar floated in his command chamber, feeling very pleased with himself. His bioships had just destroyed another coalition vessel, and their organic hulls were already growing stronger from absorbing the enemy's energy weapons. The living metal of his fleet pulsed with new strength. The prey grows weaker, he told his tactical officer. Their weapons feed our ships. Soon we will consume this entire star system. The Vorthik fleet had been unstoppable for weeks. Every time the coalition shot at them, their bio-armor learned and adapted. Energy beams that hurt them the first time would barely scratch them the second time. By the third attack, the same weapons would actually make them stronger. Commander Zara watched her sensors with growing despair. She had lost 3 more ships while waiting for help from Earth. Now she only had 9 vessels left, and the enemy had grown to over 70 ships. Whatever the humans were sending, it better arrive soon. Commander, I'm detecting hyperspace signatures, Lieutenant Kyle Martinez called out suddenly. Multiple contacts coming out of jump. It's a lot of contacts. Zara looked at her screen and couldn't believe what she was seeing. Ships were appearing out of hyperspace, one after another. First 10, then 20, then 50, then 100. They kept coming until space was filled with more warships than she had ever seen in one place. By all the stars, she whispered. How many ships did they send? Amy Johnson was counting as fast as she could. I'm reading 247. Vessels, Commander. They're all human ships. The human fleet spread out in perfect formation. Their ships looked different from anything the Coalition used. They were angular and gray, with no smooth curves or elegant designs. They looked like they were built for one purpose, fighting. Overlord Kreshnar saw the new arrivals and felt confident. More prey meant more food for his bioships. All vessels attack the new targets. Their exotic energy weapons will only make us stronger. The Vorthik fleet turned toward the human ships, their biohulls already beginning to change in preparation for absorbing new types of energy attacks. They had done this dance dozens of times before with different species. It always ended the same way. Captain Tony Garcia sat in his command chair on the USS Sledgehammer, watching the enemy ships approach. He had studied the tactical reports during the journey, and he knew exactly what these aliens expected. They think we're going to shoot energy weapons at them, he told his crew. They have no idea what's coming. Admiral Morrison's voice came through the communication system to all human ships. All vessels, this is Admiral Morrison. The enemy uses bioadaptive armor that learns from energy weapons. We're going to teach them why humans still use kinetic weapons. All ships, fire at will. Captain Garcia smiled. You heard the Admiral. Load all kinetic batteries and prepare to fire. Let's show these aliens what real weapons look like. The USS Sledgehammer's main guns rotated toward the nearest Vorthik ship. These weren't energy weapons or plasma beams. They were railguns, magnetic accelerators that could shoot solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. Firing, Garcia announced. Thousands of tungsten slugs launched from human ships across the fleet. The solid metal projectiles raced through space at speeds that turned them into pure destruction. When they hit the Vorthik bioships, something unexpected happened. The alien vessels, designed to absorb and adapt energy weapons, had no defense against simple chunks of metal moving very fast. Their bio-armor, which could learn to resist. The most advanced energy beams in the galaxy crumpled like paper when hit by solid projectiles. Direct hits on multiple targets, Garcia's weapons officer reported with excitement. The enemy ships are taking massive damage. Overlord Kreshnar watched in horror as his ships began to die. The human weapons weren't energy-based at all. They were just metal slugs, but they hit so hard that his bio-armor couldn't adapt fast enough. His living ships were being torn apart by the most primitive weapons imaginable. "How are they doing?" "This?" he screamed at his tactical officer. "These are just metal projectiles. They're barely more advanced than throwing rocks." Commander Helen Davis piloted her stealth frigate, the Shadow Strike, through the battle zone. Her ship was small and fast, designed for hit-and-run attacks. She watched as Vorthic vessels tried desperately to adapt to the human assault. "The bio-armor is trying to harden against kinetic impact," she reported to Admiral Morrison. "But it takes time, and we're not giving them time." Lieutenant Colonel Pete Johnson led his squadron of human fighter craft through the enemy formation. The small ships moved with incredible speed and agility, pulling maneuvers that would kill pilots from any other species. But humans had grown up under Earth's crushing gravity, and their bodies could handle forces that would turn other aliens into paste. "This is Falcon Leader to all fighters," Johnson transmitted. "The big ships are keeping the enemy busy. Let's hit their weak spots with everything we've got." The human fighters dove toward the Vorthic ships like angry wasps. Their weapons were simple but effective, missiles filled with high explosives and metal fragments. When they exploded against the biohulls, they caused damage that the alien ships couldn't heal fast enough. The battle that the Vorthic had expected to be another easy victory was turning into a nightmare. Their bioadaptive technology, which had made them unstoppable against every other species, was useless against humans, who still fought with the same basic principles their ancestors had used. Hit the enemy hard with heavy objects until they stopped moving. Admiral Morrison watched the tactical display as more and more Vorthic ships began to fall. The enemy was learning, but not fast enough. Human weapons were simple, brutal, and effective. Most importantly, they worked exactly the way physics said they should work, with no exotic energy signatures for the bio-armor to adapt to. "All ships maintain pressure," Morrison ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt. Keep hitting them with everything we have." The human fleet pressed their advantage, their Death World origins giving them an edge that no civilized species could match. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center on Luna Base, looking out at the biggest space fleet humans had ever built. Red warning lights flashed everywhere, and alarms rang through the halls. All across the solar system, Earth's military was moving faster than it ever had before. "Sir, we have reports coming in from all our bases," Colonel Ryan Brooks said as he walked up with a data pad. "Mars shipyards are launching everything they have. The asteroid belt mining stations are sending their armed cargo ships. Even the research stations around Jupiter are joining the fleet." Morrison nodded as he watched ship after ship appear on his main screen. This wasn't just the regular Earth military responding. This was every human who could fly a ship and carry a weapon. When Earth said they were sending everything, they meant it. Captain Lisa Bennett was one of the first to launch. She sat in the captain's chair of the USS Vengeance, the biggest and most dangerous ship humanity had ever built. The ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "All stations report ready for combat, Captain," her second-in-command said. "Weapons are loaded and engines are hot." "Good," Lisa replied, looking at the tactical display. "Set course for the Coalition fleet. Maximum speed." The USS Vengeance wasn't alone. All around it, hundreds of other human ships were preparing to jump to hyperspace. There were huge battleships with thick armor and massive guns. There were fast attack ships that could strike hard and disappear. There were carriers full of fighter planes piloted by humans who thought flying through asteroid fields was fun. Commander Nick Palmer was in charge of getting all the ships organized. He had never seen so many vessels in one place before. "Admiral, final count is 247 ships ready for immediate deployment. That's everyone we can get." Morrison smiled grimly. The coalition had asked for help, and they were going to get more help than they ever dreamed of. "What about weapons and supplies?" "Every ship is loaded with everything we could fit," Palmer replied. "Railguns, nuclear missiles, kinetic bombardment systems, and some experimental weapons that our scientists have been working on." The human ships were very different from what most alien species used. While other races had developed elegant energy weapons and defensive shields, humans still liked things that went bang. Their weapons were simpler, but they hit harder than anything else in the galaxy. Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Williams commanded the assault carrier U.E.'s Relentless. Her ship was filled with hundreds of small fighter craft, each one piloted by a human who had trained for combat since they were teenagers. On Earth, learning to fight wasn't just for soldiers. It was something every human learned because their planet had taught them that everything was trying to kill them. "All fighter squadrons report ready for launch," her flight commander told her. "The pilots are eager to get into the fight." Sarah looked at the pilot roster. Every single one of them had scored perfect marks in combat simulation. What other species considered impossible flying maneuvers, humans called basic training. Growing up on a planet with weather that could kill you in minutes had made them very good at handling stress. In the main command center, Admiral Morrison was getting reports from all over the solar system. The response was bigger than anyone had expected. Even civilian ships were volunteering to join the fight. "Admiral, we're getting calls from cargo haulers, mining ships, and even passenger liners," reported Communications Officer Dan Phillips. "They all want to help. Tell them to stay back and provide support," Morrison ordered. "But if they have any weapons at all, they can join the reserve fleet." The truth was that even human civilian ships were more heavily armed than most alien. Military vessels. When you lived in a solar system where space debris, solar radiation, and equipment failures could kill you at any moment, you learned to carry backup weapons for everything. Captain Tony Garcia was preparing his heavy cruiser, the USS Sledgehammer, for battle. His ship specialized in kinetic weapons, basically very big guns that shot very heavy things very fast. While other species had moved on to more advanced energy weapons, humans had perfected the art of hitting things really hard with solid objects. "Load all kinetic batteries with tungsten rounds," Garcia ordered his weapons officer. "If these Vorthik things can adapt to energy weapons, let's see how they handle good old-fashioned physics." The tungsten rounds were simple but deadly. Each one weighed several tons and could be fired at speeds that would turn any normal matter into vapor on impact. They didn't need fancy technology or exotic energy. They just needed to hit their target. As the human fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Admiral Morrison thought about what they were about to do. The coalition had called for help because they were losing against an enemy that could adapt to their weapons. What they didn't understand was that humans had spent their entire evolutionary history fighting things that adapted. "All ships report. Ready for hyperspace jump," Colonel Brooks announced. Morrison looked at the tactical display one more time. 247 human warships, each one crewed by people who had learned to survive on the most dangerous planet in known space. The Vorthik had no idea what was coming for them. "Begin jump sequence," Morrison ordered. "All ships jump in 30 seconds." The first wave of ships disappeared into hyperspace, followed by the second wave, then the third. Within minutes, the largest military fleet in human history was racing across space toward a battle that would change everything. The coalition had called for reinforcements. Earth was sending them an entire armada of Deathwolders who had never learned the meaning of the word surrender. In 6 hours, the galaxy would learn why you should never threaten innocent people when humans are around to hear about it. Commander Zara Velyan stood on the bridge of her ship, watching another explosion light up the darkness of space. The enemy was winning, and she knew it. Her people had been fighting the Vorthik for 3 weeks now, and they were losing badly. "Commander, we just lost the Star Falcon," Lieutenant Kyle Martinez called out from his station. His voice was tired and scared. Captain Rodriguez tried to ram their ship, but it didn't work. Zara closed her eyes for a moment. Rodriguez had been a good friend and an even better captain. Now he was gone, just like so many others. She opened her eyes and looked at the main screen. 50 enemy ships surrounded what was left of her fleet. She only had 12 ships left. The Vorthik were not like any enemy the Coalition had faced before. Their ships were alive somehow, made of metal and flesh mixed together. When the Coalition shot at them with energy weapons, the ships would change and grow stronger. It was like they were learning from every attack. "How many people did we lose?" "On the Star Falcon?" Zara asked, though she didn't really want to know the answer. 800 souls, Commander," Kyle replied quietly. 800 more people dead. Zara felt sick. She had started this battle with 25 ships and over 15,000 crew members. Now she was down to less than half that number. And the enemy wasn't even trying very hard. Lieutenant Amy Johnson looked up from her console. "Commander, I'm getting a message from Coalition Command. They want to talk to you right away." "Put them through," Zara ordered. The screen changed to show Admiral Corex, the Coalition's top military leader. He was from the same species as Zara, but he looked much older than usual. The war was taking its toll on everyone. "Commander Velyan," the Admiral said, "I've been watching your battle. You've done everything you could, but we need to try something different." "What do you mean, sir?" Zara asked, though she had a feeling she knew what was coming. "We're authorizing Protocol 7, the Admiral said slowly. "You're going to contact Earth." Zara felt her heart skip a beat. Protocol 7 was something they only talked about in whispers at the Academy. Earth was the new planet that had just joined the Coalition a few years ago. Most people thought the humans were crazy and dangerous. Their planet was so deadly that no sane species would have ever evolved there. "Sir, are you sure about this?" Zara asked. "The humans are barely civilized. Their planet has poisonous air, deadly weather, and animals that eat each other for fun." "That's exactly why we need them," Admiral Corex replied. "The Vorthik have beaten every civilized tactic we've used. Maybe we need someone who isn't civilized." Zara looked around her bridge. Her crew was exhausted, scared, and running out of hope. They had lost friends, family members, and fellow officers. If there was even a small chance that Earth could help, she had to try. "Send me their contact information," she said. The Admiral nodded. "Good luck, Commander. The fate of 3 star systems might depend on this call." The screen went dark, and Zara was alone with her thoughts for a moment. She had met a human once, at a Coalition meeting. He had seemed polite enough, but there was something different about him. His eyes were too calm, like he had seen terrible things and wasn't bothered by them anymore. "Kyle, open a channel to Earth," she ordered. "Priority Alpha transmission." "Yes, ma'am. Channel open." The screen flickered, and suddenly Zara was looking at a human male. He had short brown hair and blue eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. His uniform was different from Coalition standard, simpler, but somehow more serious. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force," the human said. His voice was calm and steady, like he dealt with desperate calls for help every day. "Commander, I've been watching your battle through our spy networks. The Vorthik have made a big mistake." "What kind of mistake?" Zara asked, surprised that he already knew about their situation. "They attacked innocent people," Admiral Morrison replied, His voice got colder when he said it. Humans take that very personally. We don't like bullies. Zara felt a small spark of hope in her chest. Admiral, we need help right away. Our fleet is outnumbered 3-1, and our weapons aren't working against their ships. I understand. Your situation, Commander, Morrison said. Earth is sending our full response fleet to your location. We should be there in about 6 hours. How many ships are you sending? Zara asked. Admiral Morrison smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that made Zara glad he was on her side. All of them. The transmission ended, leaving. Zara staring at a blank screen. She turned to face her bridge crew, who had been listening to every word. What do you think he meant by all of them? Amy asked. I don't know, Zara replied, but I have a feeling we're about to find out. Lieutenant Kyle looked up from his console. Commander, I'm detecting more Vorthic ships coming out of hyperspace. Looks like they're bringing reinforcements too. Zara watched as 20 more enemy ships appeared on her screen. Now they were outnumbered 5-1, and she still had 6 hours to wait for help from Earth. She just hoped that whatever the humans were bringing would be enough. All ships fall back to defensive positions around the station, she ordered. We just need to hold out a little longer. As her remaining ships moved into formation, Zara couldn't help but wonder what kind of help Earth was really sending. Humans were new to space travel and galactic politics. What could they possibly have that would make a difference against the Vorthic? She was about to find out that when humans said they were sending everything, they meant everything. And when a species evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every single day, their idea of overwhelming force was very different from everyone else's. The next 6 hours would change everything the galaxy thought. It knew about the quiet little death world called Earth.